Hello, everyone, and welcome to day two of the webinar series that I'm running in the month of March. Today, I'm going to talk about how to draft a research proposal. So, for those who are in the early stages of your research or you're preparing for your admission for MPhil or for your PhD program, then this would be a very suitable video for you all. And a research proposal is also equally important for uh, academics who are preparing their research grant application or a funding application. Although this video will not be going into too much detail of so that it would be suitable for grant applications, but definitely this video or this live stream is suitable for students preparing for their admission and when you have to send a research proposal with your admission application. Okay, so let's get into it. So first and foremost, what is a research proposal, right? So I want to start with the what and then why, and then we will go into the structure of the research proposal. So a research proposal is a document that outlines the plan for your research project. So this is the like a guiding stick of what you would be doing when you begin your when you want to plan your research. Okay, so this can be for MPhil, PhD, or like I said, for even for grant applications if you're preparing your grant for your research. The purpose of the research proposal is to present and justify the need to study a research problem. So that is what you want to convey by by writing a research proposal to present and justify the need to study a research problem. And the second reason or purpose of the research proposal is to present the practical ways in which the proposed study should be conducted. So this is actually a time when you are thinking about how you are going to conduct the research. So this is a time to find out what is going to be a research problem, the research question, how important is this research question, how are you going to solve it. So we need to have some idea of the methodology that we are going to follow when doing the research. And then what is the benefit? What is the significance of this research? So if you're going to spend, say, 3 or 4 years doing your PhD, then it is very important that you spend decent amount of time thinking about your research proposal and drafting it in a most convincing way for you and for you to follow during your research program. So why do you need a research proposal? You need a research proposal for at least three things. One is if you're going to apply for admission to PhD. Second is if you want to apply for MPhil or Masters by Research, then you also need a research proposal. And third is when you are applying for a grant or a uh, uh, research funding. So in that case, again, you would need to have the research proposal. All right. Now let's look at the research proposal layout. So the layout for a research proposal is it can vary from uh, university to university, but more or less this is the proposed. This is what your research proposal should have. So it should have an abstract as a title, abstract, introduction, a literature review, methodology, explaining the significance of your research, and then drawing some conclusions through your from your research proposal, and of course, list of references in the end. So yeah, that's the supposed to be the layout. And I have some people live here. I have got Fred from Ivory Coast. Hi, Fred. Thanks for joining in. Do engage during this webinar. If you have any questions, do post them as we progress with it, and I will take the questions whenever I get time, or if it is relevant, then and there. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, there are also some optional sections that you can consider if you are writing your research proposal, and that is to include a timeline of your research. So if it is a PhD project, a PhD that you're going to do, how long is your PhD? So you can have a plan for 3 years or 3.5 years, and so on. Also, a good idea to include ethics on research ethics. I'm not going to go much into this because I will have a separate, dedicated webinar on this topic. But yeah, so keep in mind, you can also, some universities may also request you to include ethics in your application. Budget, if you're requiring some special equipment or access to some special infrastructure. For example, you need a supercomputer, for example, to conduct your research, or if you need time on a telescope, things like that. So you have to keep in mind what the budget that you may need to acquire or to lease these services during your research project, and same way for resources as well. So these are optional sections. Typically, if you are, say, like starting your preliminary research proposal, which is for, say, admission. So you are writing a proposal for the admission, which, say, could be 2 pages long or 3 pages long. So it is not a very detailed and a thorough proposal, but it should show that you have got some good enough understanding of the research. So yeah, so this would be the sections of the research research proposal. So now what I will do is I will walk through each of these section by section. So I'll talk about title, abstract, introduction, and so on and so forth. And I'll share some of my thoughts, some of my ideas on how you think when you're writing your research proposal, even if it's for admission or if it's for your actual defense during your proposal presentation, you will get some useful insights by following some of my suggestions. And this has come based on my, I have supervised so many students in their PhD program, and I've done this over and over again. So yeah, it would be something that you will benefit from. Okay, so for this proposal, for this video, I have selected a project which is, as you can see, the title, the impact of urban green spaces on mental health. Impact of urban green spaces on mental health in city dwellers. Yeah, and I have used our very new technology, generative AI, to create this proposal. So it has come out quite well, and I was quite interested to see how well like ChatGPT or Bard can create some research ideas and research proposals. So I've taken some pointers from them, and I have worked on it and edited it based on my experience. So the first step is to have a title for your proposal. So I've got a title here. The next thing is you have to write a convincing and a clear abstract. So what is it that you should cover in the abstract? So let's have a look at this example abstract. What does it say? So it has three sentences. The first one says, this research proposal aims to investigate the relationship between urban green spaces and the mental health of individuals living in cities. So that is the aim or the objective of this proposal. See, so the way it is written, the first sentence itself, it is very clear and to the point that we have what is the aim of this proposal. The next sentence, given the rapid urbanization and decrease in natural environments within urban areas, this study seeks to understand. So what does this study do? It says it seeks to understand how urban green spaces can serve as a vital component in improving mental well-being. Yeah, so we are looking at the impact of green spaces and how it improves the mental well-being of people, especially those living in urban areas, because in many countries, in many popular cities, you will see large skyscrapers, big buildings, and there is very limited open space or greenery or parks around them. So this is a very kind of a very useful and important study to cover. The next paragraph or the next sentence mentions the findings of this research. So the findings of this research could inform urban planning and public health policies to integrate green spaces effectively within city landscapes to enhance the mental health of the population. So here the findings are not mentioned because the research is not done. But as you can see, it is written in a future tense, so that this is what would be done as part of the as the research progresses. So the findings, yeah. So you can mention the findings in a future tense. So if you are writing your abstract for your research proposal, this will give you some idea. What you can also add into this is what methodology you are going to use when doing this research, and this can also be added to the abstract. I have not shown it here, but it is equally important to mention that this research would be conducted using, say, qualitative interviews, or it would be a comparative case study, or it could be, many any different research methods that are available, or it could be a mixed methods research. So you can mention that clearly here. And if you want, you can also mention the benefits or the significance of your research. So basically, whatever we had in the layout of the research proposal, abstract should kind of have some bits and pieces of that included in the abstract. So if this was the layout, right? So the abstract can mention the problem, the literature, bit of a literature review if you want, the methodology, the significance, and some parts of this whole thing should be there in the abstract. Okay, I have a question here from engineer Heather asking, should the title be detailed? For example, the method that will be used in the research, or can it be general? So I guess depending upon what stage you are in your research. So if this is the two-page research proposal that you're sending for the admission purpose, then I think it is should be fairly straightforward. You don't have to go into a very detailed title. So as long as it conveys the problem, what you're going to address, and the importance of that research, I think that should be sufficient. But when you are actually doing your final presentation of your research proposal for your degree, then I think you can explore a detailed title. All right. Next, look at the next section of the research proposal, and that is introduction. So when you're thinking about introduction, if you have some pointers of what is it that you can write about in the introduction, I think it will be very useful. So I've got 4 pointers for you here. You can write something about background, a little bit on the problem statement, then mention the objective, and then the research questions. And the order is this order. I think you can change it as well, but ideally you give some background information, then from the background you come to the defining the problem, rather than the other way around. Sometimes I have seen people start with a very strong problem statement as the first sentence of their uh, proposal, and that is very catchy as well. So if you want to do that, that is also equally fine. But the idea is to cover all these aspects in your research proposal, in the introduction section of your research proposal. So let's look at background. So in case of this project that we're discussing here on urbanization and green spaces. A sentence or two on the background. So, urbanization has led to a significant reduction in natural spaces within city environments, contributing to various health issues, including mental health disorders. So, this this one sentence gives the reader a good a start at least on the progress or on the research that you're intending to do, and there is also a hint of the problem that they are facing. For example, health related issues and mental health disorders. So there is a thing. You can expand that a bit further. I mean, your introduction is not just going to be 4 sentences like you can see here, but you can always elaborate. What you can also do is you can add some statistics. Say, for example, recent studies have shown that there is a rise in mental health among people living in cities, and then you can find some statistics that can prove or that can support your argument. And then there are many websites where you can, or even if you search in Google, for example, fairly easily, you will find some relevant statistics that you can use to support your argument. Next, look at the problem statement. So here what we have, despite the known benefits of nature of psychological well-being, there is insufficient research. So this is important. There is insufficient research on how specifically urban green spaces affect mental health among city dwellers. So what do you have here? The problem statement is mentioning that there is a lack of research on this specific aspect, and that's why we are going to do this research. So you can also get some similar terminology, similar phrases when you're writing your problem statement within the introduction section. Next, we come to the objective. So imagine you have written, say, 5 or 6 sentences for background and another 3 or 4 sentences for problem statement. Then your research proposal is starting to build up. It is growing, and then you come down to the objective, and this is where you say what is it that you're actually or exactly going to do. So the objective here is to assess the impact of the quality and quantity of urban green spaces on the mental health of city residents. So there are 2 things here: the impact of the quantity, so how many are there, and quality. So those are the 2 things that they want to investigate in this proposal. So based upon a research objective, you can then derive multiple research questions. Say, for example, here one question is, how do urban green spaces influence the mental health of individuals living in urban areas? So we have an objective and we have one research question, and in the next slide you will see I have some more research questions that can be derived from this objective. So let's see what. Typically, one objective can be answered using multiple research questions. So what do I have here? So I have listed 3 other research questions that will help to answer this objective. So let's see what is the first one. How does the quantity of urban green spaces within a city affect the mental well-being of its residents? So this first research question is looking at the quantity aspect. Okay. The next one is, in what ways does the quality of urban green spaces influence the psychological health of individuals living in urban areas? So that is the second research question. And third is, what is the role of urban green spaces in social interactions and community cohesion? And how do these social factors influence mental health? So you can see, starting with one objective, we have got 3 research questions. So once you have written your introduction section for your proposal, then you move on to the next section, which is literature review. And literature review is an important section in the proposal, because this actually tells the reader that you have done some background work to identify what who has done some research in this space, what research has been done in this space, and the uh, ending of the research of the literature review section should be a list of research gaps. Okay, gaps that can be that are ripe for future research. So that is the purpose, because that's how you will connect or justify the research that you are doing. Okay, so let's see what we have as an example here, or what you can do in the literature review section. So, analyze and criticize key findings from previous studies on the benefits of nature and green spaces on mental health. So, one thing you can do this. The second thing is discuss any existing research on urban green spaces and their design, accessibility, and use in urban planning. So, that could be the second dimension or pillar of your literature review. And based upon that, you can identify gaps in the literature that your research will aim to address. Okay, so when you're doing a lit review, you can even relate that lit review to your research questions. And then, so for one pillar could be for research question one could be for research question two. And then you find the relevant research that has happened in that specific scope. And then once you have done that, you can then identify the gaps in your literature, and then you fill, and then that's how you connect your research to your research questions. You can also conduct a systematic literature review to do your system to do when you're doing your literature review. And I would strongly recommend that this is done when you are already enrolled in your degree, and then you are spending the first, say, 5 to 6 months to do a thorough review of literature and finalizing your research proposal. So that time you should do a systematic literature review, and I'm going to have a webinar on 8th of March where I will be talking about systematic literature reviews. Okay, so keep an eye out for that webinar as well. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is on the methodology. So like I said earlier on, when you have identified a research question, that research question has to be mapped with a appropriate research methodology. So how you are going to do the research, and how you are going to which method you are going to use for addressing a particular research question. Okay, I have another question, so I'll take this question. How does the researcher know that he did enough literature review? Because as you know, there have been many papers for many years. Yeah, it's a very common question that comes up in terms of how many papers you should do and to review. And the answer to that is a certain level of saturation has to come. Say, for example, you pick up one research paper, and then you look at the reference list of that research paper, and then you see, okay, I have read this paper, this. Okay, most of the papers I have read, others don't seem relevant. And you pick up another paper and you do the same thing. And at certain stage, you will realize that, okay, I think I have got hold of the most relevant literature in this because whichever papers I see in the reference list I have already reviewed them. So that is one way. Another way is to scope your literature review in a systematic way. That's why I said doing a systematic literature review is important, because for one particular research question, you will derive a keyword strategy. That is, you are going to search research papers using a set of keywords that will help answer that research question. So that way you will get a result which will be a subset of research papers and you can skim through or review those papers and see those that are relevant in that. You can put conditions like you would only select research that is published in Q1 or Q2 ranked journals, or you can say we will also include papers that are in the gray literature. For example, it is industry white paper, or it is some research reported in trade magazines or some things like that. So I'll talk more about that in the session on literature review on 8th of March. So do join for that. But I hope at least I've given you some idea for that kind of a question if you come across. Okay, so for the methodology, you can see that there are a few things that you would need to mention when you are writing a methodology. So first is you have to get an idea of who is going to help you, or who is the right audience for your research. Yeah. So in this case, you need to describe the demographic characteristics of the population. For example, what is the age of the people that you are going to involve in your research? What is there gender specific research, or is there a specific occupation that they should have, and so on. So basically explaining this sampling is important when you're mentioning the methodology. Next is the data collection method. You can outline, now this depends upon what your methodology, research methodology is. So if you are doing quantitative research, then you would say do surveys, or you send out questionnaires. If you're doing a qualitative research, it could be doing interviews, or it could be doing content analysis or thematic analysis after that, or it could be case study based research and so on. So getting that idea of this, and remember that these methods could be research question specific as well. For example, research question 1 you do using this, but research question 2 you use another method. And once you have selected a method, then there are standard data analysis techniques that I guess you would know as a researcher you would choose. For example, if you're doing qualitative analysis, you may do thematic mapping. So if you're doing qualitative methodology and you have collected data using interviews, you could do thematic mapping as to find out as a way of analyzing your research, analyzing your data. So let's take an example here. So the research question here is impact of quantity on urban green spaces on mental well-being. So if for this research question, let's say the methodology is selected as a cross-sectional survey. So who are going to be the participants in this case? Here the participants will be a diverse sample of city residents grouped by age, gender, and residential area to capture a range of experiences within green spaces. So these are the right people who would be suitable for this kind of research, or giving feedback or giving the right inputs to help answer this research question. So finding the right participant and mentioning that in your research proposal just shows the rigorousness of your research, that you have given a thought, a good enough thought to think about how your research will progress and who you will involve in your research. For data collection and analysis. So let's say here we are using a questionnaire for assessing mental well-being, and then there are standard scales. For example, the general health questionnaire GHQ-12 would be used in this case to assess and access to green spaces. So both the things are needed. You're also going to need the green space that you will be using in your research. Next, what we have, statistical analysis using regression. So this could be one way to analyze the data that you are collecting through this question. And there are many other methods that you could then use, but here is just one example. But for your research proposal, it would be good that you mention something. I mean, in research or in a research proposal, nothing is kind of fixed. Research is always evolving. So at this stage, when you're writing your research proposal, you may think that, okay, I will do regression. But later down the track, you may realize that, okay, maybe I want to change my analysis, or I may want to add another analysis technique. And then you can do that. So there is no hard and fast rule that whatever you mention in the research proposal has to be done. But there is a bit of a flexibility as your research progresses. But in a research proposal, what you have to convey to the panel is that you have given a thought about the research, you have thought about the research question, you have thought about a methodology that would be suitable to answer the research question, and you are going to try to do that. But if you find, if you get stuck, or there are some hurdles while you're doing your research, you can then realize that, okay, I can change it. I don't have to be stuck with this approach because that's what I mentioned in the proposal. So there is that level of flexibility that you have when you are actually conducting your research. There is another example I have taken here, perceptions of urban green spaces and mental health benefits. So what are the perceptions on that? So this could be a good research topic for a qualitative study using focus groups. Participants here would be diverse focus groups using formed by the same or different age groups, gender, and urban neighborhood. So in a focus group, you get maybe a group of people, 8 or 10 people, depending upon the kind of venue that you have for conducting the focus groups. And then you engage them in a group interview to gather results, gather inputs for your research. Data collection is guided discussions on perceptions of green spaces and personal experiences related to mental health. So this is how you're going to collect the data, by guiding the discussions among the participants in your focus group. And then you're going to analyze this collected data using thematic analysis. So if you have 2 research questions and you're going to use 2 different approaches, then this is the writing style that you can follow. And you have to be a little bit more elaborate. It can't just be like one sentence like it is I have shown here, but this is just for demonstration purpose. You can expand it a bit more and then make it a reasonable length. All right. Next section is significance, and significance is important because although you have told the panel everything, this is the problem is important, this is how I'm going to solve it, these are my research questions, this is my objective, and so on. But if you supplement all that with the significance of your research, then it actually makes your proposal very strong. And I have seen on many occasions this section is either not there in the proposals, or if it is there, it is just written very superficially. But I think this is a section where you can spend fair bit of time and thinking to list what are the different significance of your research. And when you're writing that, you can also see that, okay, when you're thinking this way, maybe I need to kind of go and tweak my research question a little bit, and so on. So let's see what the different categories of significance of your research. So I have grouped the research significance into practical significance, theoretical significance, social, economic, environmental. So you can mention all the different significance of your research, and having these categories itself shows that you have kind of spent thinking about how your research is going to be valuable. So let's look at an example of a practical significance. So here I have got this. This research holds the potential to guide urban planners and policymakers in creating healthier cities by emphasizing the integration of green spaces. So this is a practical benefit, practical significance of your research. It underscores the tangible benefits of such spaces on mental health, advocating for designs that prioritize public well-being. So not only are you mentioning your research, but you have also kind of saying that, see, I'm doing this research, but this is an important research that needs to be done. So I should be given, say, if you're applying for a PhD scholarship or if you're applying for external funding, this section becomes very important because this shows the benefits of doing this research. And if this research is funded, the funding agency needs to have some level of confidence that this is useful research and this should be funded. The next section is theoretical significance. So, when you are doing research, you are going to create some new knowledge, right? What is this new knowledge? And if you can articulate that nicely, then that becomes your theoretical significance. So, in this case, what do we have? The study contributes to environmental psychology by elucidating the nuanced relationship between green space characteristics and mental health outcomes. So maybe this bit of research, yeah, is your innovation from your study that will be generated from your study, which you haven't done it yet, but you are thinking that this will be the theoretical significance of your research. Next one you can mention is social significance. So, what is social significance? Social significance is your opportunity to tell the panel about how your research is going to benefit the society at large. How is the society going to benefit with your research? And if you keep these kind of filters or dimensions in mind, you will help it will help you to formulate your research question also properly. So let's see an example of a social significance. This study underscores the importance of urban green spaces in supporting biodiversity and mitigating urban environmental issues such as heat island effects and air pollution. The findings advocate for sustainable urban development that harmonizes human well-being with ecological preservation. So, see, when you read this, you get an idea of the how this research is going to be socially significant as well. Next is environmental significance. This, I think, is fairly straightforward in this research because it is about urban green spaces. So, what is the environmental benefit of conducting this research? So, what do we have here? This says this study underscores the importance of urban green spaces in supporting biodiversity and mitigating urban environmental issues. Next, we have economic significance. So, in terms of economic significance, you can also mention how is this going to benefit the economy. So is it going to create new jobs, or is it going to help the society become more economically strong? So the research highlights the potential economic benefits of investing in urban green spaces, including reduced healthcare costs by promoting mental health and enhancing property values. So there are two benefits that are mentioned here in terms of the economic significance. One is the cost of healthcare will go down because people would be their mental health will be good because due to the urban green spaces that they would have. And secondly, it will also increase the value of the properties that they are living in. So the green spaces actually will increase the value of their houses. Okay. Next section would be conclusion and references. So I don't have much things to cover here, but basically a conclusion would be a recap of all the research that you have done in the research proposal, and a few concluding sentences to complete your research proposal. So if you look at this is going to be your overall research proposal layout: title, abstract, introduction, lit review, methodology, significance, and conclusion. So if you're writing your research proposal for the first time, if you include these topics, these headings in your proposal, you will get a decent research proposal at the end of this exercise. Okay. Next, I have got some tips and tricks for you when you are drafting your research proposal, and this would be something very useful for you if you are, want to make sure that you get a really good research proposal in the end. So first is start with a clear research question. This is very important because everything else revolves around this. So your research question or your research objective, for that matter, and make sure that the research question is clear, as in a sense that it is not ambiguous. So after reading the research question, it should be very clear that what you're trying to achieve. And the examples that I have given in this session, you'll get a very good idea on how to draft a clear research question. Next is conduct a thorough literature review. If this proposal is for your admission purpose, this could be a start of an extensive literature review that you would do once you get enrolled into the degree. But either way, having a thorough literature review is important to kind of be confident that the research question or the research objective that you have identified is sound and solid. Be realistic about your scope. So scoping is something that you would need some help or assistance from somebody who has done research in the past. So if you have some mentors, or if you have your academic advisor or your professor with you who is helping you to develop the proposal, get their feedback, get their advice. Next is try to write clearly and concisely, and don't just go writing about just only one aspect because you just feel that you can write about it. And I've seen this many times. So you're very passionate about one aspect of your research, and then you just keep writing about that, and then the other sections of your proposal are weak. So try to follow a structure and break down your research proposal into the headings that I have recommended, and try to cover good amount of content in all these headings. Emphasize the research significance and impact. Like I showed you, 5 different ways you can mention the significance of your research. So try to cover that. It is not necessary that you include all 5, but even if you have the practical significance, theoretical significance, and maybe the social significance, depending upon the topic of your research, I think you can pick and choose from there. If your proposal requires a timeline, maybe a preliminary timeline when you're submitting for admission, do include that, and a budget if needed. Some universities in the admission process, during the admission time, do not require you to provide a detailed timeline because it is not realistic to have that at that stage, because you have not formalized your research. There are so many open questions that would need to be addressed. Seek feedback. Like I said, if you have an advisor or a professor or anyone who is guiding you in this research proposal writing stage, do include that. And also give a thought about the ethics of your research. What could be the potential ethical challenges that may come up when you begin your research. Okay, so those are some of the suggestions from me. In concluding this session, I would like you to embrace the research journey, and it is not going to be a smooth, simple ride. There will be ups and downs during your research. So knowing that upfront is important. And if you are attending this session and you are in the early phase of your research, then please make a note of this, that your research journey is going to be filled with ups and downs, but it is going to be an enjoyable journey if you have a plan, and if you have a good team to support you during your research journey. Stay driven by your curiosity and always be open to new questions. Like I said earlier on as well, research proposal is a document that is uh, evolving. So you come up with a research question, but you can always evolve or add to this work. Collaborate and share ideas to enrich your work, and this could be with fellow scholars who are maybe either at a similar stage as you in their research journey, or it could be seniors who have completed first year or second year of their PhD program. Be adaptable to change and unexpected findings, because this will happen for sure. No matter how much confident you are that everything will go straight, believe me, things will go wrong during your journey. Aim for your research to make a real world impact. This is very important, and this is where the current trend is going in terms of doing research that really makes an impact. And this is where including the social significance of your research is very useful. Also view each project as a learning opportunity. You're always learning, and when you start your PhD and when you finish your PhD, you will realize that what a learning opportunity it has been. And celebrate every achievement that happens, big or small, during your PhD program or during your research journey. If it is a research paper that you publish, if it's a conference that you're attending, if it's a scholarship that you have won, no matter what, an achievement is an achievement, and do take time to celebrate that. And keep a growth mindset, and this is very important. And that's why I've got this picture of the book on the right side, Mindset, which is written by Carol Dweck. And I have read this book, and it is really an amazing book about how you should have a growth mindset and how that helps you to build up your skills, build up your abilities, and something that you think are not possible, or maybe you think that you do not have the right, you're not gifted for that particular aspect. If you read this book, you will realize that there's always a way that you can learn new skills, adapt new skills, and become good at whatever you want to be. Okay, so that is all for today's session. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about how to apply for PhD admission in Australia. If this is something that you're interested in, do join me again for this session. And yeah, if there are any other questions, please do ask me. I'll be here for, let me see if there are any questions from anyone yet. Yeah, if you do not have any questions, you can always leave some questions later on. I'll always check my videos and answer all my I answer all the comments that I will get on these videos. Do join my YouTube channel, subscribe to my channel, because you'll be getting really regular and good quality content going forward on various aspects of research. Invite your friends to join these live sessions. I'm going to do this one every day. And I hope that if you follow these 31 sessions daily, you will realize that you will have grabbed, or you have learned a lot more in just this month of March. And that would be something that you could benefit during your research. Fred has asked, could you please share the slides with us? Yeah, I think I will put these slides on my community. So if you join my community on Mighty Networks, you will have all access to all the slides from all my sessions that I'm going to do. All right. If there are no further questions, I thank you all for joining today's session, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And don't forget to bring your friends along and help spread the word of these live webinars every day. Thank you all very much. Have a good weekend. Bye.